I'm fortunate enough to live in a town in which the crime rate is well below the national average. We have the occasional post-pub punch-up, and it's probably unwise to leave your bicycle unlocked and unattended, but in the main, we're mostly crime-free. So imagine my surprise when my local supermarket underwent a refit recently. As part of the refurbishment, they reshuffled the entire shop to showcase their fresh produce right near the entrance, and they pushed the dog food right to the rear of the store. But that wasn't the most striking change. Walking down the meat and cheese aisles, I was stunned to find that chunks of steak and blocks of regular cheddar cheese are now protected by security tags. Maybe I'd underestimated the level of theft in my local area. But one place I haven't underestimated theft is in the demolition and construction industry. It's everywhere. It's endemic. It's the invisible tax that every developer, contractor, subcontractor, and even individual worker pays. But the most damning part of this trillion-pound industry isn't just the staggering volume of stolen goods. It's the fact that we've collectively shrugged our shoulders and labelled it as an inevitable cost of doing business. In the demolition sector, the line between salvage and theft has been blurred into oblivion. It's an open secret that as soon as the high-reach excavators start biting into a structure, a secondary shadow economy springs to life. Copper piping, lead flashing, and high-grade steel have a nasty habit of migrating from the site pile to the back of a private transit van before the official skips are even half full. Most demolition firms operate on paper-thin margins, with their bids at least partly predicated on the value of the scrap they can recover and sell to authorised dealers to offset the cost of their work. Yet the workers on the ground, the very people meant to facilitate that recovery, are often the ones siphoning it off. To many, it's seen as a perk of the job. But when tons of non-ferrous metal vanish into the night, sold for cash to unscrupulous scrapyards with no questions asked, it's not a perk. It's a breach of contract that bleeds the employer dry. And if scrap is the traditional currency of site theft, fuel has become its most volatile asset. The abolition of the red diesel subsidy in April 2022 was sold as a green initiative, pushing the industry toward cleaner energy. Instead, it turned every plant fuel tank into a target. With the price gap between red and white diesel effectively closed for construction purposes, the incentive for fuel theft skyrocketed. We're now seeing sophisticated gangs draining hundreds of litres from excavators and generators overnight. And there's a double cost. First, there's the cost of the fuel itself, and then there's the resulting downtime. A site that can't start its machinery because the tanks are dry is a site that is losing thousands of pounds per hour in lost productivity. And yet, once again, the industry's response has been a weary sigh and an increase in insurance premiums. There's a particular kind of bitterness reserved for the theft of tools. That's not just a corporate loss, it's often a personal one. When a subcontractor arrives to the lockup to find their Hilti drills and their Leica levels have gone, they're not just losing equipment, they're losing their ability to earn a living. And the statistics are striking. Equipment theft costs the UK construction industry roughly £1 billion every single year. However, the most uncomfortable truth is that the culprit isn't always a masked intruder climbing through the holding at midnight. Often, it's a fellow worker. Subcontractors steal from fellow subcontractors. Tradesmen borrow tools from the main contractor, and then they're never returned. We've created a culture of cannibalism where the lack of security and the high turnover of staff have eroded any sense of professional camaraderie. The tool chest is no longer a sanctuary, it's a target. And the industry's response? We buy trackers, we spray paint our gear in neon colours, and we factor the inevitable 15% loss of inventory into our next tender. While the theft of a bag of copper or a van full of power tools is easy to visualise, the most predatory form of larceny in the industry actually happens in the boardroom. Now that's the theft of liquidity, practiced by the large tier 1 contractors against the smaller firms that actually do the industry's heavy lifting. The mechanism is simple and brutal: withholding payment. Through spurious disputes over quality and sheer administrative foot dragging, Large contractors sit on the cash flow of their supply chain. For a massive multinational, a 6-month delay in payment is a rounding error. For a small family-run bricklaying or demolition firm, it's a death sentence. It's theft by another name. It's the deliberate misappropriation of someone else's working capital to bolster one's own balance sheet. All too often, the larger firms wait until the smaller contractor succumbs to bankruptcy, at which point the debt is effectively erased. It's a cold, calculated stripping of assets that makes a scrap metal thief look like a rank amateur. The true tragedy of this £1 billion drain on our economy is not the ingenuity of the thieves, but the apathy of the victims. Theft has actually been integrated into the British construction psyche. We no longer ask how we can stop it. We ask just how much we need to add to the budget to cover it. We've accepted a baseline of dishonesty that would be unthinkable in any other professional sector. Imagine a firm of solicitors where the junior partners regularly stole the laptops, or a hospital where the surgeons had to chain down their scalpels to stop the nurses selling them on eBay. It sounds absurd, but that is the daily reality of the UK demolition and construction site. The normalisation has a profound effect on the calibre of the industry. It creates a race to the bottom where the honest contractor who refuses to steal and insists on paying their staff fairly is outbid by the rogue operator who factors supplementary income from stolen scrap and unpaid invoices into their pricing. The UK construction and demolition industry is a leaky bucket, losing £1 billion a year through 1,000 different holes. We've become experts at patching the holes with insurance claims and inflated quotes, but we've seemingly stopped actually trying to fix the leak. Until we stop viewing the theft of a drill or the withholding of a payment as a quirk of the trade, we will remain a broken industry. It's high time we stop dismissing it as a cost of doing business. If you're taking what isn't yours, whether you're wearing a high-vis vest or a tailored suit, you're a thief. And until the industry treats this internal rot with the same seriousness it treats health and safety, the looting will continue until there's nothing left to steal.